Yeah, Anna said something on the show that was so troubling to me. I know she believes it. It was like,
the Vanguard will be there, sir.
Either way, this is an interesting conversation. They get into, like I said, the whole Tucker Carlson conversation that we were just discussing and whether or not Tucker deserves any credit, which is an interesting conversation. Obviously, one we've been having over here to some degree as well. So let's hear what they have to say.
Why aren't the Republicans running those states angry about this?
I don't know, John. It really chaps my hide. Who's your garbage person?
It does. Well, that was a good garbage person. I like it. My garbage person of the week is going to be Tucker Carlson, because in
Evergreen.
a time in which he is, like, theoretically, not always for the right reasons, but on the right side of an issue, he's trying to use it to whitewash all of the harm that he did when he was hosting on Fox News. He said recently, he had on his show in his hunting cabin, because he's a regular guy that likes to hunt or whatever. He had this Fox employee on, or former Fox employee. He's talking about his disagreement with Fox News about the war with Iran. And he said, this is really the first time I've attacked them, talking about Fox. They canned me over 2 years ago. And he added that, I think it really matters because the purpose of their coverage has been to, quote, scare old people into obedience. And he goes on to say that he was, back when he worked there, a semi-witting cog in the propaganda machine. And the idea is that he was unknowingly going along with this plot of terrifying old people and just accepting whatever your politicians tell you. But he was not a semi-witting cog. He was like the guy in the cab leading the train. He was their chief propagandist for at least a few years. And yes, he disagrees with them on this particular thing now. But the idea that he wasn't an active and knowing participation.
This is such a great point by John. There's literal text messages. Matt Leck referenced them when we were chatting with him earlier in the episode because it is just a definitive part of Tucker Carlson's lore. Because of the Dominion lawsuit against Fox News and, as an extension of that, Tucker Carlson, because he lied about the voting machines after 2020. He denied the results of the free and fair election, and he was sued along with Fox News. He wasn't sued personally, but the network was sued by that Dominion voting machine company. And because of that, there was discovery, and he had to send over all of his documents. He had to send over his text message records. And in that text message record, you have a bunch of times Tucker Carlson says he doesn't believe anything he says on air, that he fucking hates Donald Trump and he only puts up with him because he has to, because he needs proximity to him, that he might as well be doing satire at times when he's on air. Those were the lines of defense that they went to. Okay. In the past, Fox News has been sued for not being a real news company, and they have defended themselves with the same laws that protect satire and the Global Inquirer. Okay. Tucker did all of this with a grin, and he took his paycheck with a smile.
Yep, 100%.
In this scheme, as if in all those other issues where he was knowingly lying about the threat of migrants and caravans, and even in this interview, he talks about boys and girls sports as if that's not the latest way that they're trying to terrify people into accepting whatever your politicians tell you. He is a very witting cog in the propaganda machine and remains so. He's just not in the Fox version of that thing. And so I like that he is against the war in Iran. But the idea that that makes him honest, or that can rewrite the history of all of the damage that he did across so many issue areas and normalizing the replacement theory conspiracy and all of that is just insane and should not be allowed. And then he goes on to say this, which I think is kind of funny. He talked.
And the only pushback I'll give to that at all, because I totally agree. I mean, it's undeniable. The only thing I will say that I feel like he might be maybe missing as far as the credit being given to Tucker is that while all of those things are true, part of those things actually give him more credibility with the people that need to hear that message the most concerning the war and concerning Trump's hawkishness, right? The fact that he had all those terrible right-wing positions actually makes people that currently still have those positions taken more seriously. Does that make sense to you?
Oh, for sure. I just think that John might add that he will then take all of that credibility that he's earned and use it to send them in the complete wrong direction. So any credibility that he earns with them on this issue of war will then be turned around and sent in another direction. And I also think it's problematic because at the end of the day, where are these voters going to go? They're going to go back into the Republican Party. Like, I feel like at least 75% of the people who listen to Tucker Carlson will probably turn around and vote for whoever the Republican nominee is. So I don't know how constructive it really is. And he might just be, kind of, I think he's just trying to be the cool guy a little bit. Like, you know what I mean? I don't know.
Talks about the effect that working at Fox had on his body. He said, I just got fat. I mean, it's incredibly hard physically. Everything about it is the hardest job I ever had. And look, if you want to say that emotionally or psychologically talking about the news can have an effect on you, it can. It's had an effect on me. It did make me very fat and all of that. But it's not hard physically. And you have a massive staff. You got all these people. You have a beautiful studio. And all you have to do is read some conspiracy theories off a teleprompter for like an hour a day. And you're talking about it as if you're like digging out foundations for buildings or framing a house or something. God, it's just this desire to seem relatable and folksy that just he goes way beyond any of the credit he actually deserves for anything. So Tucker Carlson is my garbage person of the week. What do you think?
Listen, in order for me to determine whether Tucker Carlson has had harder jobs, I'm going to need to hear a list of Tucker Carlson's hard jobs. This might be the hardest job he's ever had to do. Tucker Carlson, the son of the guy who ran like the Association of Broadcasters, the guy who's got like, whose dad was the ambassador to the Seychelles. Talk to me about how hard your life is as the heir to the Swanson portion. The hardest job this guy had was having to get his ass kicked during one episode of Crossfire by Jon Stewart, which launched him into anonymity for a while. And he had his first brush with potentially not succeeding. And he flailed. My guy was on Bubba the Love Sponge talking about monkey-like Iraqis and trying so hard to regain relevancy because the only thing Tucker cares about is whether or not he has an audience.
Yeah.
Anna said something on the show that was
I
so
think that's
troubling
right
to
there.
me.
I think
know
that's
she
very
believes
sharp.
it. It was like,
and I don't want to interrupt him while he was just about to go into Anna Kasparian, but I do think that is the one thing Tucker has that everybody who succeeds in mainstream cable and gets to be the #1 broadcaster on Fox News is you have to love being watched. And I bet you he got addicted to those big numbers that he was getting. I think he probably really fucking liked how much of the audience, what percentage of the cable news pie was tuning in just for him. And I think he's just looking for a new way to try and recreate that for himself.
I also think it's possible. And again, I hate to say this because a bunch of Zionists have piled on Tucker and accused him of being a Qatari asset or whatever the fuck. But we've seen Tucker take money from Russia/Putin and then go to fucking Moscow and do a propaganda commercial for how awesome their grocery stores are and how great their fucking subway stations are. And look how clean and beautiful and Christian it is here. Like, clearly this man is not above doing propaganda for foreign interests. Zach, do you think there's any chance that even though he's arrived at the right position here when it comes to Iran, that it is at the behest or on the behalf of a foreign government, maybe a Qatar or something like that? Although, again, I hate to parrot the talking point of Zionists who use that to bludgeon his anti-war talking points with.
Oh, I mean, look, I wouldn't put anything past this guy. That's what people don't understand. And that's why I think you're fucking stupid if you take this guy at face value at all. I think I cannot accept anyone who will look at Tucker Carlson and believe him at his word, because we know he will just bold-faced lie. It's in countless documents. Oh, I don't believe what I'm saying every single day. Well, then how the fuck could I believe that you are taking it seriously now, 58-year-old man or 55-year-old man, however the fuck old Tucker Carlson is, okay? You don't wear a bow tie anymore. You want me to take you seriously? Get the fuck out of here. But I do think that there's a chance. I think that it's entirely possible he's taking money from multiple foreign government. I mean, what the hell would Tucker Carlson have a moral objection to that for? You know what I mean? Donald Trump doesn't have a moral objection to that. We know he's taking money hand over fist. And the reality is that since Tucker is not a politician, he can get away with a lot more. And he's also way smarter than a lot of these dumbasses on Twitter who have to leave the country forever because otherwise they'll be unregistered foreign agents. That's why guys like Jackson Hinkle, etc., they don't come back to America, right? Because
Tara Reid, remember her?
Tara Reid, exactly. Yeah. feel bad for that
Fiorella
woman.
Isabel.
Yes, all these fucking crazy people that were like the gray zone affiliated, they're lackeys and shit. Those people had to flee the country because they were unregistered foreign agents. Tucker Carlson, he knows how to do a shell LLC. He knows how to make sure that his money is flowing through different, investments, and we're actually doing a deal with so and so. I don't know what his bank account looks like. He's also the heir to the Swanson fortune, but I think that he could be taking money from anywhere. And I wouldn't be surprised.
100%. Again, even if that has caused him to end up on the right side of this issue, it's worth questioning. Either way, also I want to say shout out to Queen Victoria. Queen Victoria sent this link to us for us to react to. So really appreciate you sending that link. If you guys ever want to send us tips or stories or, hot goss that you think might be fun for us to react to, feel free to do that via our email. But Zach, this is where it really gets good. That was a little, nice little discussion about the Tucker thing. I think they both made really valid points there. But this is where Anna Kasparian herself is about to get mentioned by name. Brett Erlich, who I don't think has weighed in on the situation. Like I said, he's been a long time TYT contributor, but unlike Francesca, he's been pretty, tight-lipped about all the controversial situations that TYT's been through. He hasn't really come out here to condemn Cenk and Anna. He's barely addressed it, if at all. I think this is the first time we've reacted to Brett bringing this up at all. So let's take a look. Anna's about to get called out on the damage report.
Or not, he has an audience.
Yeah.
Anna said something on the show that was so troubling to me. I know she believes it. It was like, it's what might happen if people who earnestly take people at their word listen to Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson's anti-war. No. He is anti-war because Tucker Carlson only concedes things that he has to or that he thinks don't matter. That is very important. He'll be like, I was a semi-witting cog because no one's going to be like, Tucker Carlson, he said, I had no idea that we scared people. You idiot. Oh, I kind of knew it was happening. He concedes that because he thinks he has to. But Tucker Carlson has been scared. He's like, oh, I can't believe they scared people for that long because that's my job.
Yeah.
That's what 100%. I do. He scares people into submission. He only cares. That's the decoder ring on everything Tucker Carlson says. He doesn't believe anything. He's one of those speech and debate boys who's like, I could take any side of any argument and use a combination of tools I've honed, such as I'm just asking a question. And
can we pause it?
It's hilarious that you even say that.
This man and I are on the same page. I want to get a beer with that guy. Him and I have the exact same analysis of Tucker Carlson. I hadn't even seen this clip. We were right on the same page.
Here's my only, again, pushback, and not to defend Tucker, but this kind of goes back to what Matt was saying. Not that it's a defense of these people, but do you think it's true that some of them do genuinely actually believe in the America First thing? They're like, no, I don't think we should be spending all this money on foreign conflicts. And it's not because they care about Palestinians. It's not because they're virtuous and anti-racist or even particularly anti-Zionist, but they do feel that even if it's kind of like a Nazi, isolationist instinct, they're like, we should be investing solely in our people. Fuck everyone else, no matter where they are around the country. Do you think there's a possibility that is a genuine motivating ideological factor behind someone like Tucker?
Not really, because I think that it's just as likely he's taking money from Qatar, and I don't think that you could be a fucking America First guy and take money from Russia to do propaganda for them and take money from Qatar or do whatever. So I really do just think it's about
I don't think there's actual proof with the Qatar thing.
No, that's what I said. I said I would just as likely believe that as.
Okay, but what about not Tucker, but fill in the blank with someone like Tucker, who we'd also hate to give credit to. But again, I do think it's possible that some of these people, again, they don't care about Palestinians. They're not anti-racist or whatever. But I do think some of these right-wingers have arrived at the position that hey, I hate having to see homeless fucking veterans on the street when we're sending billions of dollars to foreign countries I'll never visit. That's not a crazy conclusion for me to picture a right-wing person arriving at. But I mean, it's fair enough about Tucker himself.
Yeah, I just think that a big part of that is sure, they might not like seeing that, right? But I think those same people will kind of also have the response where it's like Zoran, at least he talked about New York, but I hate every single one of his policies, which would make it a better country. If you genuinely are America First, don't you want to see free busing? Don't you want to see, newborn babies receive gifts from, the hospital to make sure that they grow and develop. You know what I'm saying? If you are America first, don't you want to see your tax dollars spent on America? And then they constantly just shit on anybody who tries to actively improve America in terms of lives for people.
Fair enough. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if he was shitting on Zoran. He said, I don't support his program. But
he said, I don't agree with any of his programs, which were all things that would have been beneficial to working people.
Right. But he still gave him a lot more credit than every single other person running in that race, which undeniably is different than how Tucker Carlson would have talked about Zoran Mandami like 10, 15 years ago, which again goes back to my question to Matt is like, where do you think the end game of this is? What is the ultimate end of this trajectory that Tucker's on? Because clearly it is some sort of a trajectory, but I also hate to give the guy credit.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think obviously it's totally fair to speculate. Like, we don't know, right? So it's just your hunch. My hunch is that this is totally selfish motivation for Tucker Carlson.
Yeah, I think it's going to be hilarious if he ends up actually running for president and trying to take over the Republican Party from Donald Trump.
That doesn't happen because I think he might be able to do it. I'm scared because look, guys, I hate Tucker Carlson. I think he's nasty. The way he talks makes my skin crawl. It's like the sound of just nails on chalkboard to me. But the reality is that he is captivating to a lot of people in the same way that Donald Trump is captivating to a lot of people. And he has been in people's homes for a long time. And a lot of people trust him. So no, I'm terrified actually after you and Matt were discussing that and I was listening and I was like, oh my God, I think this might actually happen. And it would be horrible if it did, because I don't disagree with any of your points about like how Tucker has effectively positioned himself. I just think it happens to be all entirely selfish and pernicious.
Yeah, fair enough. Let's keep watching this and go back just a second. Because, they're talking about, hopefully Anna gets brought up even more.
I'm just asking a question. And that's hilarious that you even said that. What are you even talking about? That's ridiculous. That's what he does along the way. Oh, I couldn't even believe this. I once had this position and I realized it's ridiculous now. No, you realized it was ridiculous then. You just used those other tools I was talking about to make it seem like you didn't actually think it was ridiculous and to advocate it because you were confident that with everybody in places they were rhetorically, positionally, in terms of their like political coalitions, you could navigate this way so you could gain an audience.
Yeah. And everyone remember, the legal strategy in defense of Tucker Carlson was that nobody should take seriously what he says. It's just entertainment. And everyone remember the text that came out that proved that he despised Donald Trump. He thought he was a destroyer who was wrecking the country. And then he would go on TV every day because he needs those people to like him and lie about it and pretend that Donald Trump is the best. He was not a semi-witting anything. He lied about Donald Trump so that he'd have access and an audience. Those are garbage people. 65,000 of you voted for the community.
I'll tell you what, after watching that clip, I'm like, fuck, dude, John Iadarola is really good.
Yeah.
Very great analysis. That's an awesome show. That's a better segment than anything I've seen on the TYT main channel in fucking months. It was informative. It was fun. It had personality. It really did kind of call back to what I imagine the early days of TYT kind of felt like. Obviously, it was over a Zoom call. That wouldn't have been necessarily maybe how they would have done it back then. But you felt like, hey, it was like hanging out with people. It reminded me of what Gavin and I might be doing 20 years from now.
Yeah, totally. And I also have always been a fan of Brett Erlich, like I mentioned, even back in the days when he was on like the fucking Rotten Tomatoes, YouTube channel. I've been watching that guy for a long ass time, and he's always, funny and pretty on point politically. Not that I pay super close attention to everything that he says, but yeah, that was a fun clip. I guess Anna didn't get, scolded all that much, but it was interesting to see Brett say that, he was deeply troubled to see her so freaking horny to give credit to Tucker. And not just Tucker, but also Candace and like everyone that she even theoretically could be giving credit to on the right. She's like, let's give them all the freaking credit in the fucking world, guys. Let's have a party where we get together and give every right-winger credit for saying one thing that we agree with and then shit on everyone on the left, even though they're saying everything we agree with constantly and always have been.
Oh, yeah. I mean, right there, the two of them, they just absolutely shred the line of argument that has been put forward by the Young Turks main show. And that's why it's crazy, because those are two dudes that have never wavered. They are still giving the progressive message that they've been giving the entire time they've been affiliated with the Young Turks, right? It is Cenk and Anna who has changed. And what did John do? He took his garbage person of the week and he used it as an opportunity to completely dismantle the talking points that his audience is going to be exposed to on the TYT main channel. And my follow-up for John is to be like, my brother in Christ, like, why do you want to be around and a part of a network that is laundering the reputation of Tucker Carlson, that is laundering the reputation of Republicans, that is doing the obvious shit that you just said you had to be foolish to do, right? That's happening by the guys that pay you, right? You and Brett are 100% correct, okay? You have great analysis. You have a better show. I don't understand how you could possibly put up with it, but at least he is out here giving the TYT audience some exposure to real progressive coverage and analysis, but it completely flies in the face of everything they're being told by Jen and Anna.
Look out the door if you hear an ambulance. The Vanguard will be there, sir. The Vanguard will be there, sir. The Vanguard will be there, sir. The Vanguard will be there. Be there.